We're rolling. Hey, what do you say? January 7th. Your old pal Cadillac Joe D. Listen to this music. Now, I wonder what that is indicative of. Well, you're going to find out in a little while here. Today, January 7th, warmer than it was yesterday. Still pretty damn cold out there, though. So, wrap up, stay warm, bring the pets in. Birthdays today are pretty interesting ones. Paul Revere, for one. No, not Paul Revere, the guy from Boston, running around the streets yelling the Redcoats are coming. I'm talking about the real Paul Revere, from Paul Revere and the Raiders. 1942, so he's an old timer. Paul Revere and the Raiders was 70 years old today, or 72 years old. Whatever it is, he's old. Anyway, got a couple of guys that I've known for a while in the motorcycle industry. One is a fellow by the name of Doug Kime. Doug's a great guy. Very articulate, very intelligent fellow. And on top of that, a world-class master motorcycle builder for metric bikes as well as American V-twins. So if you are anywhere in the country or the world and you want a custom bike built, you contact Creative Cycles out of Wall, New Jersey, and Doug can hook you up. Today's his birthday, so say happy birthday, tell him Joe D sent you. But you know, it's not limited to that. He can service your bike if you're local and you need oil change, whatever. I mean, no job's too big or too small for a guy like this. Full service shop, good staff, great guy. Another one is a fellow that's originally from Dedham, Mass, I found out. He's down in St. Petersburg, Florida. His name is Steve Galvin. He's a famous bike builder, and the name of the shop is Wicked Cycles. I believe it's WIKKED Cycles. Go online and look that up. You'll see some whacked out crazy stuff, both metric and American V-twin. I'm talking big time wild stuff. So those two guys, between the two of them, they'll build you some stuff that looks like it came from another planet. That's totally rideable, fast, dependable, and very cool. And if you have trouble getting dates, you ride one of their bikes, you'll get a date, I guarantee you. Now, 1959, the United States recognizes Fidel Castro's government. So that was pretty much the end of Cuba, I guess, as we knew it. Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, everybody came on back home, and that was that. And, you know, the rest is history. You know, John F. Kennedy dealt with him for a while, and until his demise, unfortunate, untimely death, and we know how it's been ever since. So that's that. So today was the beginning of what's turned into a 50-plus year communist regime. They're still driving cars from the 50s. They can't get parts. It's crazy. There's a lot of cool motorcycles down there too, you know, all from that era. But here's the kicker. Today, 1970, there's a farmer in upstate New York by the name of Max Yasgur, and he was sued for $35,000. Now, 1970, that's a lot of dough, 35 G's. He was sued by his neighboring farmers. You know why? Because his property was where Woodstock was at, and everybody wrecked the joint. 35 G's, the neighbors were pissed. But hey, you know, all good by us, right? So anyway, that's that. Now, Chapter 2. How did Cadillac Joe D become Cadillac Joe D? Well, you know, as the 70s went along, we used to go to Jack Witchy's, as I said in the last broadcast, and we'd go to the wrestling and all that. And I became acquainted with a fellow by the name of Butch Petrillo. His wrestling name, he had gone by many names, but he used to wrestle back in the 60s, believe it or not. Some people that know him might not believe that, but he did. Down at Witchy's and other local places around Boston. And later on, he actually managed me. He was known as Superstar Butch Petrillo at that time. Champion of managers, manager of champions. So anyway, we continued to go to wrestle matches. Witchy's, you know, had gotten burnt down and so forth. But anyway, I met him early in the running there. And around 1997, I guess. No, pardon me, excuse me. 60. No, I guess it was 1975-ish. I was probably like in the 11th grade or so. the school I went to, Zavarian Brothers High School, they had wrestling. But it was local guys. It wasn't WWWF as it was known at the time. It was independent group out of Boston. And there was a wrestler by the name of Gene Dundee. He was wrestling a fellow black man by the name of Bobo, not Bobo, Hobo Brazil. He was the cheap imitation of the national wrestling champion, Bobo Brazil. Well, they had their match, and then Gene Dundee leaves the ring, the referee leaves the ring. Well, we're all sitting ringside, and we're raising hell. And I'm telling him he's a bum and he's this and that. We're not cursing at him. I mean, you don't really want to do that. The guys are trying to make a living. Plus, obviously, going to school there at a Catholic high school, I would have been in deep doo-doo over that. So, anyway, this guy gets tired of me heckling him. And he says, hey, you think you're so tough? Come on and get in the ring. I jump up on the ring apron. Through the ropes I go. I'm ready to lock up. I'm a junior in high school. Now, mind you, I'm in the high school that I go to. The place went wild. The roof was ready to come down. The people were screaming. The teachers were screaming. It was awesome. I mean, it was just unbelievable. Then here comes 6 or 7 wrestlers and the referee, and they cleaned out the dressing room, and they held us apart. And I kind of went into the gimmick with them. You know, we're trying to get at each other and stuff, and you know, nothing ever came of it, and I get back to my seat and everything. And, you know, that story went on for months. It was cool. But what it did, it planted the seed. Once I walked between those ropes, I knew that I wanted to do it again. And, you know, it was just not that easy to find your way through back in the old days. It was not like you go to the yellow pages and look up a school. So time went on. I realized that my father had a wrestler as a patient, Nature Boy Ricky Sexton from Milford, Mass., a.k.a. real name Mario Creation. You hear the dogs in the background. That's just the hazards of broadcasting from home. And anyway, Mario, he pointed me in the direction of a guy in Boston. Dogs, come here. Come here. Quiet down. Anyway, Ricky Sexton pointed me in the direction of a fellow by the name of Rudy Diamond. Quiet, Lucy. In Boston. And anyway, nothing ever came of it. So, you know, fast forward, we go through the 80s, been going to all the matches when I was in college. I got my pals into it. We go to the Boston Garden, Providence Civic Center. We go up to Portland, Maine. We go all over the Northeast going to wrestling matches. And it was a lot of fun, you know. And I always loved it. But I kind of resigned myself to the fact at that point that, hey, now, you know, the 90s are coming. I'm getting to be, you know, late 30s, approaching 40 years old. I'm going to be too old for it. So whatever. Well, a good friend of mine, Lucy, quiet. A good friend of mine, Tom Butler, opened a shop down in Charlotte, North Carolina, for a fellow by the name of Gary Byerline, very nice man, by the name of Cycle Sorcery. Well, Charlotte, North Carolina is a hub for professional wrestlers. A lot of them still live there to this day. Lucy, stop it. A lot of them still live there to this day. You know, because that's where the company was headquartered, and that's the way it was. Well, anyway, I go down there to visit him. You know, grand opening of the store and all that. Well, who do you think I meet? Magnum TA, Terry Allen. He was a longtime United States heavyweight champion. And we're talking now. At this point, he's already retired. He had his career ended abruptly in 1989 due to a car crash. Actually, right there on Independence Boulevard in Charlotte. The fellow that was his last match actually happened to be with him. He says, "Hey, you remember a guy by the name of Gorgeous Jimmy Garvin?" I said, "By all means." Here he comes. He introduces me. Well, long story short, we became pals. I'd go down there. We'd go riding motorcycles. We'd meet each other in Daytona. We'd hang out for the week in Daytona and got to know them. And I had a great time. Now I'm going to stop the story there because this tape's getting a little bit long. But I'll tell you what, that turned into something that led to meeting all kinds of great wrestling stars. Diamond Dallas Page, the Nasty Boys, Rick Steiner, Scott Steiner, Chris Jericho, Booker T. Man, I met them all. Ric Flair, you name it. I've met a ton of these guys. Larry Zbyszko, all from that Charlotte connection. Chapter 3 will carry on from Charlotte on. So, January 7th, this is your old pal Cadillac Joe D signing out. Nice to see you. Always glad to have you come and visit. And have a great day. Be kind to each other. And make sure you bring your pets in. If I see them out in the yard in this cold, you know what I'm going to do. Have a great day, folks. Thank you.